Hello and welcome to Her Roomies. My name is Victoria Bennett, and today we are going to be hearing from Nick Fraser and Chiara Fraser about the business model of Her Roomies. Her Roomies is the first rental accommodation site for her. If you have any questions, just add them into the comment box on the screen and we will answer them before the end of this session. First off, I am going to introduce the two leads of the business, Chiara and Nick.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Chiara Fraser is co-founder of Her Roomies with a first in business studies from Heriot-Watt University. Chiara has focused on experiential marketing through large-scale events and community building in the UAE. Chiara's focus is the brand, community, and product development. Nick Fraser, co-founder of Her Roomies, has more than 35 years real estate experience. Nick has invested and developed in most asset classes, including residential and student housing. Nick's focus is Her Roomies' business development strategy. So can I ask any attendees just to add into the chat what you're hoping to get out of this session, and we'll try and make sure you get it. Chiara, we say Her Roomies is the first rental accommodation platform for her, but what does that mean?
So what it means is that Her Roomies is the first accommodation rental platform that has been created, designed, and developed with females or women in mind. It has been created to give females a safe rental space and really attend to their needs throughout their full lifetime rental journey. So unlike any other platform that currently exists, which are all generic, Her Roomies is really focused on building a space that she can come back to time and time again throughout her full life and find a rental opportunity should she need one and when she needs one. So it's really about creating an environment and community that is female focused. The offers we have on the site are, created or listed by landlords who are specifically looking for female tenants. We do have some mixed or shared environment listings such as co-livings because we do believe it's her home, her choice. But the idea is to really create this safe rental one-stop shop that females can come to and rent throughout their full life. And then join a community and a full ecosystem around this experience.
Excellent. So that's sort of what the business and the essence of it is. But how is that platform different to the likes of, say, Rightmove or Zoopla or Baddie?
Well, there's several ways that it's different. First of all, it's the first accommodation rental platform that is focused, segmented. So unlike the rest of the platforms that currently exist, it is not a generic platform. Right now, as a female, you can go onto the Baddies and the Zooplas, but if you're looking to share only with females, or if you're looking to be attended to in a section that is female focused, you're just a filter. On Her Roomies, women are the protagonists. So they come on and they know that everything that's on the platform in terms of listings and services have been put out for them as females. We also have a ecosystem, which we have created. Actually, I'm sharing some slides. I'm not sure if you can see them.
Yes.
But we have a full ecosystem which is created with females in mind. And this ecosystem has a number of different add-ons that really cater to women, again, and their potential needs. So unlike the other platforms, we're not a single transactional platform. We don't want you to just rent this one time. We want you to come back time and time again. We want the female to be able to come back time and time again, which really increases our customer lifetime value. These rental ecosystem and these add-on services that we have for her really enhance the rental experience and also give her an opportunity to have one-stop shop that she can come to and find services around the rental. So we think of her pre, during, and post move-in. So for example, we have Home Checker, which is our verification system for both the house and the landlord. We have Her Hub, which is our community hub, which extends into partnerships across cities and really offers women catered services. We have Room Swapper, which will allow females to swap between cities, rooms between cities and countries, again, extending our community. And we even have a concierge that females can come to. So unlike these other platforms, which are focused on renting the room or the apartment there and then, we really focus on building a long-term relationship with our tenants and giving them a full solution for their rental experience.
And I mean, one of the things that, COVID has definitely done is, it has driven the market to sort of, do a lot more online. and it has required a lot of the other platforms to step their game up. And you've seen a lot more, say, videos of properties for rent, which didn't happen before. But I mean, they're still not going to this level of, as we would call, property technology. So you're certainly going deeper into that side of things, providing a lot online, which the market is looking for. But then, of course, you have that unique model of being targeted for women.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm just going to sort of dig a little bit deeper, if you don't mind, sort of how do you make money out of this?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the first thing to look at is, what is the addressable market of Her Roomies? Because given that it's female focused, a lot of the time it's considered a niche. And sometimes when you say niche, people think small, but it's complete opposite. In our case, we're attending to more than 50% of the population and 50% of all renters. So our addressable market is extremely big. And this is really important so that you can understand the scalability and also, who we're speaking to in terms of demographic. If we're looking right now at the European markets, there's 264 million females in the European market, which includes the UK and the USA. And as I mentioned, 50% of all tenants globally are female. So this is really important and interesting when we look at the business model right now, currently, and what we're expecting in terms of revenues and growth, but also in terms of long-term and scalability and where we hope to be in the future. Looking at our business model, I think it's really important to establish what is our business model as Her Roomies, and we are a two-sided marketplace. What this means is that we're looking at engaging both landlords and tenants and having fees and revenue streams that come from both sides of the market. I don't know if Nick would like to talk a little bit more since I've been speaking today, so maybe he can explain a bit more about the business model.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say that obviously the business model will be adapted to local market practices. For example, in the UK, tenants don't pay a fee. And in the case of the UK, obviously it will be the landlord that will pay a fee, which will be slightly higher than you see because our fees are generally lower than our competitor set. So I think, basically the way we work is that, given our target demographic in terms of tenants, one of the biggest challenges, and this is not just in Spain, it's basically everywhere, is that there's a lot of scammers out there that list, rooms to rent and apartments to rent. These are done offline. Sometimes they're done in social media groups. Sometimes, in classified sections of classified online portals. And, you regularly see comments on Trustpilot and other portals, referring to people having thought they'd booked something, paid a deposit, the first month's rent, and then they turn up and it's not there or it's different. So we believe that given that our target demographic is certainly very concerned, like everybody else, but particularly concerned about the security, not only of the place they're moving into, but obviously the actual transaction itself. The onus is on the landlord to be absolutely transparent in terms of who he or she is or it is, and she feels comfortable and protected because the transaction takes place through our platform. So we basically give the tenant 48 hours to check that their accommodation is as it says on the label, in which case then we release the rent to the landlord. So the landlord is protected in the sense that we hold his first month's rent until the tenant moves in, and the tenant is protected in the sense that only when she's moved in, or sometimes it might be a he as well, but generally it's a she has moved in, it's as it says on the label. So in terms of how we structure our model, it's based on two-sided fees. We're below the competitor set in Spain, so we believe we have a slight advantage in terms of the fee structure that we have. And the overall general take is around 9% overall. Where we have corporate landlords, such as student housing and co-living, we only generate a fee from the corporate landlord. We don't generate a fee from the tenant. So we generate tenant fees only in the context of a private rental.
And what is your target margin for each booking?
So on average, we would expect to be around between the landlord on an average booking of a let's say a room on an average period of time at an average rent, we would expect the total take to be in the range of 180 euros between the landlord fee and the tenant fee, with an acquisition cost on the or CAC, if you like, of around 6 euros for the CAC to acquire, a blended CAC to acquire that level of revenue.
Mm-hmm. Great. And so how do you ensure you get paid with each booking?
I mean, we get paid because basically the tenant pays her first month's rent, transacts on our platform, and we retain from that payment the tenant service fee and our landlord commission, and the balance gets paid to the landlord once the tenant has moved in, as confirmed as they expect, as they saw on the platform. So we're not waiting for somebody to pay us. We actually take it when the transaction happens.
That's smart. So other platforms charge a listing fee for properties and you don't. Why is that?
Well, other platforms are classified platforms. So basically, it's a place where you go list your property. The platform itself doesn't really care if it's rented or not rented. They're only interested in getting a listing fee. And generally, there is some type of check on the origin of the landlord who lists, but they do not follow up and they do not offer any sense of security or guarantee that the landlord is actually the real landlord. And basically it's caveat emptor. So, they have their place in the industry, absolutely. But it's a totally different business model to the model that we're offering.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it. I mean, one of the other things that, seems very different is, when I read about Her Roomies, there's a lot about community, which is not something I hear about, the other platforms. So why have you focused on building a community?
I think that was one of the main things that, when we started, the concept was very obvious, especially when I experienced the rental journey and looking for a place to stay. Ultimately, I found myself on Facebook and social media groups where I found a plethora of other women that were going through what I was going through, because we're, as females, we're very community centric and we're very community focused, and we like to support each other and we like to give advice to each other. And so for us, it was really important as we built out this marketplace that it wasn't just a space for the single transaction like all the other platforms. We really wanted to create an experience where women can come onto a site and find a rental, but also tap into a community. So this community word is loosely used, but what we mean is that she has a space that she can come to. She can connect with other females going through exactly the same experience she's going through. She can ask for advice, support, services, and then it extends into other things such as mentorship and female empowerment. But the idea is to really engage with a larger audience by creating a community, which then extends the customer lifetime value. And really gives her a space that she knows she can come back to no matter what age or where she's moving to. And I think this sense of community then brings a sense of comfort and safety, which I think females really embrace and look forward to being a part of.
So are all those services going to be available from day one?
So currently we do have the add-on services which are pay on demand. So there's, for example, the concierge service, which is available right now. We do have Her Hub, which is currently available also. So we have this digital community of services and discounts that women can tap into when they're coming onto Her Roomies. We then have Home Checker again. So Home Checker has two sides to it, which is our verification. We have the house verification and we have the landlord verification. The home verification will come, again, as a pay on demand. We do try and push the landlords to do as much as possible because the more verified their listing is, the more likely a female is to rent it out. But women can also request that in case it's a girl coming from abroad who hasn't had a chance, and it's not a verified listing and they want someone to go check the house. What will be available from the beginning, as soon as we start our paid services, is the landlord ID verification, which again is very important, as Nick said, just to make sure that the listings we have are verified from a landlord's perspective, that whoever is living in, when we say landlord, it can be a girl that is renting a house or an apartment that has extra rooms she wants to rent, just to make sure that we're adding that layer of security. And this is done through third-party services like Global ID, who are professionals in their field and do this regularly. So we also have some other tools that we'll be working on. Of course, we're doing this fundraising on Crowdcube to optimize the site and add technology implementations. So, for example, right now, Match Her, which is one of our standout tools, which is a roommate compatibility tool, that I think will be really interesting as we grow the business. is a forum where girls can connect and meet each other, post their list, post a request for roommates, and together they can find a space on Her Roomies. What it will ultimately be will be an algorithm so that girls can connect with compatible roommates, and then it will connect them to a compatible listing based on their budget, location, etc. So most of the add-on services are available now in a more minimal way, if you will. And as we grow the business and as the funding comes in and we optimize our site, we'll be adding the technology to give these offerings, the ones that are not pay on demand.
And I think I just want to add to what Chiara said. I think what's very important when we talk about add-ons, they're actually an integral part of our tech stack offering, and they're not labor intensive in the sense that they will be automized within our tech stack. So apart from obviously a home checker where there will be a physical verification, everything else will be done online basically. So it'll be powered by an algorithm. The other thing I think that we also offer, which I think is very interesting when you're moving between, especially when you're moving between countries, is the concierge service that Chiara mentioned, because you will have people moving even between cities. I mean, there'll be somebody that maybe is coming from, London, has never been to Madrid before, or vice versa. They need to get a bank account sorted out. They don't know where to start. They may need to get an ID sorted out, or the driving license now that we're not part of EU anymore. So a whole plethora of services that we can, offer to assist. And these will be pay on demand, but it enhances the value proposition that we're providing to her. And in many cases, when it's a younger female traveling, obviously perhaps the mother or the father will be very kind of concerned and aware of what's going on, and I think they will be very happy to know that there is this type of service that we offer.
I mean, it really is a comprehensive service. Even the sort of the core that you're offering today is very comprehensive and a complete game changer in the marketplace. It's not what anyone else is offering. But the other side to it is the fact that most of that is delivered online. So it's very scalable. So I think, it seems a very robust business plan on both sides.
No, I'm talking about scalability. I think the other thing I'd just like to point out that we have around 176, we discussed this in previous webinars, but we have users from 176 different countries. That's not 176 people with a passport in Spain coming to the site. They're actually coming from 176 different countries. So clearly they've been looking for a value proposition such as Her Roomies, looking for accommodation. So in terms of scalability, we really do believe that we have the potential to scale across most geographies.
Well, that leads in nicely to my next question. What are the growth plans for the business?
Chiara?
Actually, there's a number of different things that we can look into. We can talk about the growth plans from a business model perspective. So, of course, we're looking at, because we mentioned that we are, creating a one-stop shop for her. So I think in terms of a business model perspective, moving away from our financial revenue model, which is solely based on the rental commission-based, both landlord fee and tenant fee that we were discussing. We have opportunities to scale and grow the business by having additional services with different partners that, again, will generate more revenue through different streams. This is one side of the business when we talk about scalability and how we intend to increase the business from revenue side. There's also a revenue potential and growth potential from a countrywide plan that we have. At the moment, we're consolidating in Spain, and we have been doing some strategic partnerships in the UK. We do intend to then move into Southern Europe, focusing on Spain, Italy, France, Portugal. We also have some listings already in Ireland. So again, looking at the Southern European market, because it's very similar to the Spanish market. So just a nice transition there. And then, as the years proceed, moving into different territories across Europe, and ultimately, with a focus of being able to be completely established in the UK and then making our way into the USA market.
I was when I was preparing for all of this, I was looking at sort of where the market growth is. And Europe seems to be the second largest rental market in the world. So, you're certainly, conquering that first is actually makes the most sense. And then you're poised in a perfect position to move over to the US. with a strong brand.
In Europe alone, 30% of all people rent. So it's a huge market if you consider the number of people in the European market. It's, and I think, with the, economic times that we live in, unfortunately, less and less opportunities are given to the youth to be able to purchase. So the renting, the way that people live and the way that people look for their next home is very much so going through a rental process.
I think I read somewhere that 43% of renters can't afford to buy, so they're forced into. But then that also says that 57% choose to rent, and right. I think with with COVID, to mention it again, sorry, I know we don't want to talk about it, but the rise of the digital nomad, the fact that people are looking to rent because they want to be more a part of the sharing economy, they want to have that flexibility. There's a bit of there's a cost driver, but there's also a mindset change as well.
Absolutely. And just kind of linking it back to the digital nomads. I mean, on Her Roomies, we have a full offering of typologies. We're the first platform to kind of offer all different rental typologies on one space, which means we list from student accommodations, rooms and shared flats, co-livings, whole flats, and everything in between, homestays, so that she can find any rental space she wants. But I think what we've been seeing from our own metrics and booking requests that come in is that, the room rental side of things and the co-living side of things, which is really focused on attracting digital nomads, is increasing day by day. And it's probably one of the most requested typologies that we have on our platform. And it's exactly because of this, because people are finally, if anything good came out of COVID is that people can now travel and work remote. And so I think room rentals will continue to grow exponentially. And I think that is why some of the features we have, such as the Match Her, which is the roommate compatibility tool, is going to be a game changer and currently is very used on our website, because women will want to live in rooms in shared flats because A, it's all that they can afford, or B, it's their choice because they want to be in a co-living environment as they travel remotely and work remote. So I think this is one of the spaces to really look out for and how Her Roomies will be making a big impact on females renting.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going to live somewhere and you don't know anybody, you want to live with people because you want to feel safe for the community, etc., etc. But then you want to live with people you want to live with, and your compatibility tool, as you say, you're not just a little switch, sort of like selecting, I want this number of bedrooms, I want this location. You're actually diving into true compatibility. So yeah, again.
For females, we do everything in community. That's why community is so important for us. So, a lot of guys might, I'm not a guy, but a lot of guys might live together, but everyone has very different lives. Girls do a lot of things together in the household. They cook and they get dressed up. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but we do form our own little community within our household. So I think living with people that you're compatible with is one of the number one important points when you're looking for a new space to move into.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So I'm going to open this up to the floor to get some questions. So if you are watching this through social media, just add into the live chat. I've been seeing some sort of thumbs up going through. So I know people are liking what they're hearing, but this is your chance to ask some questions. And if you're joining us on the webinar today, you can also ask questions into the chat as well. So what's our first question? How did you get the projections for your rental rates and growth?
I'm gonna let Nick answer this.
Yeah, I mean, we did a large market study. I guess we're talking about Spain, and then we'll come on to the projections for the rest of Europe. So what we did is we did a detailed market research of the Spanish market in terms of room rentals, flat rentals or apartment rentals, average rents across cities, across regions in Spain, number of units rented per annum, et cetera, et cetera. So that gave us a basis for our business model, of which we made certain assumptions as to what would be our fair market share, in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. In terms of listings, and then obviously, the conversion rate of those listings into booked tenancies or booked accommodation. And then for what we did for the rest of Europe, we basically given that we obviously were not able to do an in-depth study of every single market in the EU, because that would have been 26 or 27 markets, we took a Deloitte report on real estate values very recently, I think in the last couple of months. And then we applied a population formula from Spain to those countries, a rental formula to compensate between those countries, and then within those European markets, there were cities, because obviously cities tend to be a lot more expensive than the average for the country. So in the Deloitte report, I think there were about 3 or 4 cities per country which had a plus or minus formula. I would say nearly all of them were plus. So again, we applied that, and we came up with a projection based on rental values for those countries based on the local country, and then applying it on the basis of the population for Spain, and then applying it based on our fair market share assumption. So it was quite a complicated model to do, but it's a projection that we feel relatively comfortable with.
Okay, no, that it as you say, it's very comprehensive, but you are very active in Spain now. You've got some good traction. Are you seeing sort of the reality? Is that lining up with your predictions?
I'd say during our MVP stage, although we were not monetizing, we exceeded our predictions or our forecasts, in the sense that we were working with a modest digital marketing budget. And with that, and that was solely focused on the Spanish market. And with that, we managed to generate, I think probably now we're around 110, maybe even more, 110,000 users, accumulated users since we launched. We're averaging around 7,500 to 8,000 users per month. And the revenue, rental revenue requested or booked on the platform for landlords far exceeded our expectations. So we're very, very pleased. And this, as I said, with a modest digital marketing budget and a relatively small team, so we feel very confident of being able to deliver the projections that we've shown in our business plan and our investment deck pitch.
I think it would be important to just highlight that modest value, because it really makes such a difference. So we were spending a maximum of 500 euros a month on digital marketing. Most months we were averaging at around 427. So it really was extremely modest. And despite this, we've seen, a very large demand. I mean, our rental booking requests, we haven't consolidated this month, but it was over 700,000 euros of value of booking rental requests that were made on the platform. So I think, and again, with a WordPress template website as an MVP period beta testing, we've achieved all of this to date with that modest spend. So again, we did definitely exceed our expectations.
And I mean, you're seeking to raise 200,000 on the Crowdcube platform right now. So, what do you plan to use that 200K for?
So the 200K, we have a clear roadmap what we're going to use that for. I mean, one of our first hires will be a CTO. We already have a short list of very qualified CTOs who we've sourced. We will be making that decision as to which one at the end of the round that we're doing at the moment. The new CTO will basically drive forward our new technology stack. So basically, we will roll out a new website with all the functionality and tools that we've discussed earlier on in this conversation. In the meantime, between the new technology coming on board, which will probably be 5 to 6 months from April, we will be doing an upgrade to our existing website. We'll be introducing monetization. So we will have our existing website will be optimized for the next 6 months while we're developing the new tech stack. So we see basically bring on board some key individuals, the CTO I mentioned. There'll be probably somebody in the marketing department, and we will be investing in the tech stack.
Okay.
As well as marketing, we will be spending some of the funding on positioning our brand, because we have not been able to do that to date with our limited resources. So again, coming back to what Chiara was saying, we've achieved quite a lot with no market communication or brand positioning, and we feel that with a little bit of push there, we will obviously be able to grow the brand further.
So why did you choose equity crowdfunding?
Well,
I mean, I was going to say, first of all, it's a convertible loan, even though it's called equity crowdfunding.
Yes, yeah.
I think, but let Chiara answer that one because I think it's more in her area.
I mean, I'll answer it from the perspective of kind of the marketing exposure and the brand ambassadorship, because we're a community-centric platform and we really, want to build on this. Having an opportunity to be on a crowdfunding platform really democratizes the investment opportunity and allows anyone to come in and invest and be part of the growth journey. So for us, building the community from a platform side, but also from an investor side was very important because we do feel like having those brand ambassadors that will be with us from the development side, from the stages and the early stages as we grow will be extremely beneficial and helpful. And I think especially if we have access to female investors, just today, there was a girl that we've been communicating on LinkedIn, and she said, I've joined a crowdfunding campaign, and she's in the UK, and it was so nice to see that, the word is being reaching other females, and that they believe in the product, and that they can join us. So from a marketing perspective, it's a great initiative to be able to get the word out in a short amount of time to a very large platform. Crowdcube is one of the top crowdfunding platforms and has a huge database. So I think that's something that we were very excited to be a part of. And then, of course, just offering the opportunity of the convertible loan, again, as Nick mentioned, to a larger audience. Because right now you can invest from as little as 10 euros. There's no maximum amount. You can invest as much as you would like and join us. We're actually very excited. We've reached 91% of our funding today. I think we've hit a really big milestone. It's been a tough time around the world, and so we've been, careful to understand the situation. But at the same time, we're very happy to see that despite, the stuff happening across Europe, unfortunately, we have investors that are still believing in us and pitching into our growth journey.
I think I'd like to add, talking about our investors. I mean, as Chiara mentioned, our investors go from 10 euros to our largest investor who's put in 50,000 euros. So, we're very proud to have everybody on board, basically, whether they want to invest 10 or 50,000. And I think the other thing which was interesting, I was looking at the stats on Crowdcube. I mean, typically, unfortunately, the investment world is usually dominated by people of my gender. Female investors. Whilst there's a lot going on to try and empower them and to make them a larger part of the investment community, it is a male dominated. But I'm very proud to see that on our particular campaign, I think if it's not at parity, it's very close to parity, which is great, because I would suspect that a lot of other campaigns are very, very much kind of male orientated in terms of the investors who've invested. So I'm very pleased and proud to see that we are almost at parity between our male and female investors.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I would like to also say that it's really nice to see male investors, because ultimately we are a female-focused platform. True. So having their buy-in. And no, I think it's important that there are so many male investors, because, it's a female-focused platform, which means that they understand the real need. This can be maybe men that have daughters. Everyone has mothers and sisters and family members. So I think, just the USP and our motivating drive and what we stand for is kind of understood by both genders, which I think is really important.
Yeah. And I'll back that up. I've just checked. You've got 130 investors. So, I mean, that's 130 ambassadors and 130 people who fully understand the business plan, which hopefully more people do today after today's webinar. So just going to check if we've got any more questions. And then, so you see me looking down because my Facebook light is down here. So I apologize.
I think if anyone would like to see a little bit more information on the actual business model and the revenue projections, also they can visit us on Crowdcube and they can download the deck and they can see the financial projections and broken down by typology. In Spain, particularly, this first focus is the Spanish market, so they can really see what the percentage is, how many rentals that means in units, and I think that would be helpful for anyone who's interested in seeing that further.
Yeah. I think we've addressed everybody's questions today. And as I say, if you've downloaded anything and you have any more questions, you can always ask them on the Crowdcube page. There's discussion there. You can also ask to meet with Nick and Chiara. They'll set up a call with you if you have any specific questions. As we mentioned, the Her Roomies campaign is currently live on CrowdCube. It's at 91%. It's exciting. You can go to the website and register and get the full information. Just to remind you that, what you've heard today, there are some forward-looking statements in that. And, you will be investing in a relatively early stage company. So please, read all the information on the website. But you can go online and invest today. So thank you very much, Nick. Thank you very much, Chiara. I think really good insight into the business. Thank you to everyone who attended today, whether it be on social media or on the webinar. Great to have you. And we look forward to seeing you on the campaign page soon.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you.